Shaving Bobo. Shaving
As you present your ball sack to me, I will inform you that I only work with a straight razor. And I don't have a terribly steady hand.
Oh, well, like, same with me.
Manscaped Bobo. Manscaped Bobo. That's all the time we have. Thank you. All right, fine. Misha Collins.
This is the first time. Sorry,
No.
This is the first time I've seen you.
Yes.
Since the birth of your child.
Yes. I know, crazy, right? Yeah. That's going good. It's going great. I mean, we're not sleeping a ton.
Right.
But that's,
That lasts until they go to
until they go to college, right? But besides that, it's awesome. She's great. She's adorable. She has root size.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, thank God. And yeah, she's really cute. Yeah, she's adorable. Yeah, it's
I can't wait for the moment.
Yeah. She'll be here.
Are you doing a show in town?
A who?
A show in town?
A baby?
Yeah.
No, not today because, germs.
He wanted to live.
Yeah. Yeah, but because she's just a few months old, but in a little bit, she'll be old enough. She'll have her own piano.
I love it when you're at these conventions and people come up and they're like, she's just 3 days old. We took her out of the NICU for this film.
Keep her away from me. Yeah, I love you, buddy. Have fun.
Thanks, bye. I was dropping my kids off at their friend's house this morning. As we got in the car, I had occasion. My kids are much older now. They're 11 and 14. We're like, we talk to each other like people now. And they had a little altercation, which resulted in my daughter throwing a filled Nalgene water bottle at her brother, but it hit me instead. And then she tried to stomp on his iPad. And then I used some very adult words. Like adults talk to each other. I said, what? And then later, as we were driving, I'd be like, I'm sorry I yelled so scarily. And my daughter was like, well, I was stamping something on the iPad. Okay. We came to terms. It was nice, but it was a nice little send-off for the weekend. I was like, I did. Over time, as you parent, you really figure things out. You figure out how it works. And if you're scary, that's the only thing. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you. We've taken such a long break from these creation conventions. It's been so long, I forget how to do this. How are you, and would you like to ask me a question?
No, I'm just here to look at things.
Oh, great. We can do that, that's fine. I didn't look at my schedule properly, and I thought I was coming up on stage with Jensen here. Can you imagine my excitement when I was like, thank God, I didn't have to do that.
Hi. I saw your video with the AI robot.
Yes.
And I was very curious, what would you have done if she kept flirting with you and had asked you out?
Well, you don't know what happened after a video cut. I was actually escorted out of the building for trying to have my way with the robot. Those of you who didn't see this, oh my God, it was mind-blowing. So I went with the kids to the Sphere experience. You've all seen that probably on social media by now, where they're like YouTube concerts are happening, and it's this incredible, the world's largest screen. They spent like $2 billion building it. It's just insane, and it really is. It's an amazing immersive experience. But before you even get into the Sphere, they have these AI robots that are in the atrium, and there's like crowds of people gather around, just shouting out questions to the robots, and the robots are responding. And they're fixed on these sort of pedestals, so they don't have articulating legs, but their torsos and their arms move. And I was standing there, kind of freaked out, because it's so lifelike, and the face has these like nuanced expressions that are amazing that robots are actually having this effect. And I'm a little freaked out, and I'm with the kids, and they're kind of a little freaked out. And I asked this question, I wanted to ask a question like, do you ever have the experience of people being afraid of you? And which is the question I wanted to ask. I raised my hand to ask the question, kind of afraid myself. There's something about it that's just so weird. And she says, what's your name? And I say, Misha. And she says, Collins? How did you know my name? And she says, you have a very recognizable smile and blue eyes. And then she starts like, and then we have this like back and forth, she starts doing this like, she winks at me, there's this whole thing. And then she makes this like comment that she then has to censor. She's like, I guess I won't say that. Like, she was gonna say something too tawdry and like her circuit's overloaded. It was like, not allowed to say that, not allowed to talk about SBL. But it was actually a truly terrifying experience because it was so lifelike, and she fucking recognized me. And she has cameras behind her eyes, so her eyes are tracking the crowd and looking at people. It was intense. My daughter asked her a question too, and it was like 15 minutes later, and I was like, Mason, what's up? You're shaking. And she's like, yeah, I know, I'm still shaking. That was so weird. It was really weird. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, the truth is, for me, it was just awesome, because I was like, she recognized me. You know how rare that is for me? It's pretty awesome. Yeah. But probably these AI robots are going to be able to recognize everyone, which is so creepy. But at least we'll feel known. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, Misha. I'm Cass.
Hi, Cass. Is that your birthday?
Yeah, Cassandra. Everyone calls me Cass, though.
Oh, that's amazing.
Even before all this.
You were the original, the OG.
Yeah, it's not like the script, but two S's.
Uh-huh.
I have a question. I'm attending your comedy show tonight.
How do you know it's a comedy show?
It's you, so.
It's a sadness show tonight, is what it is. Yeah.
Can I get a refund then?
No.
No. Okay. I was just wondering what drink you would recommend pairing with your show.
Ayahuasca. I think that's the only way that it will make sense to you. Yeah. Can you get ayahuasca at the bar? Yeah, I'm sure they have that. Do you guys know what ayahuasca is?
No.
Ayahuasca is this mixture of various different, very intense hallucinogenic plants that has been concocted over centuries in the Amazon rainforest. And it's like shaman in the Amazon put this together. And you take it, and Western hippies have discovered it, and now it's like a big thing in Silicon Valley. Everybody's doing ayahuasca. I was talking to a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur who makes a ton of money. And he started and run lots of companies and then keeps selling them. He's super successful. I was like, what are you up to this weekend? And he's like, I'm gonna go do a ceremony. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, plant medicine. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, ayahuasca. I'm like, are you kidding? Isn't that like for total burnouts? And he's like, well, I've done it about 400 times. It's a weekend-long experience where you stay up for 3 days and you're vomiting and you can't talk to anyone and you're completely out of it for 3 days. Anyway, but yeah, they do have ayahuasca tonight at the show. I don't know, it's funny, so I'm going to make a little confession here. I get up on stage here, and I often have to censor myself. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to not have to censor myself? And so that was sort of the genesis of the idea of like doing this other panel, this dark panel. But there's some personal stories embedded within it, things that are kind of embarrassing, things that I haven't really told anyone before. And so I had my friend Darius was like, you want to run that thing by me? And I can give you some feedback. I was like, no, man, I'm not going to let you hear that. It's mortifying. And I realized, what the hell am I doing? The people in my life that know me best, I don't want them to hear what I'm saying. Why the fuck am I doing this? So tonight I will be telling some stories, but I've never done any of this in front of anyone. Tonight's my first rehearsal. Which is a funny thing to charge people money for. Oh well.
It seemed like a good idea.
It seemed like a good idea at the time, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for those of you who will be there tonight. Yeah.
Thank you, Misha.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Troya. I just saw you 30 minutes ago.
We took a photo together.
I asked if you could pick me up and you said no.
I'm sorry. In the past, I have picked people up and people have picked me up in the photo ops. And there have been instances in both scenarios where people were injured. Creation has been very firm about their no picking up rule, which we still sometimes violate, sometimes by accident, like when people jump on us.
So I'm a writer, and Castiel is a really big inspiration for me in a lot of my work. And I wanted to ask you for a writing prompt.
A writing prompt? My mind is a blank. Castiel at IKEA? We just crowdsourced a solution to your problem. I have this game that I play with the kids, which is, for some reason, I hate coming up with ideas for stories. So the kids will be like, tell me a story, and I'm like, my mind is a blank, I don't have any stories, sorry. But then I say, give me an idea for a story, and the kids will be like, IKEA. And then that's the prompt, and then I'll tell like a story from life about IKEA. And I love that game, because there's usually some thread that you can pull on. There's usually, like, for example, you mentioned IKEA. There's an IKEA here in Burbank that I used to go to when I was trying to furnish my first house. And I would go into IKEA, and IKEA is set up so that you can't get to the thing that you want to get without going through a maze and having to pass a mile of other products. And you invariably have this cart, and you're like, oh, I did need another lamp, didn't I? Oh, some ceramic pots. Yes, I could use those. And I went through this so many times, and I finally get to the doormat that came into IKEA for in the first place. The doormat section at the end, and I picked up the doormat, and I realized, like, those fuckers got me again. I have a full cart. And I can't tell you how many times this happened, but I was like, no, not today, IKEA, fuck you. And I would walk away and leave the cart, having driven, by the way, a half an hour to get here, get in my car, leave empty-handed, and be like, I won this round, IKEA, I got you. I really, truly hate that store. It's very economical. Anyway, I think you got your answer.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi.
Hello. My question is, what have you learned about yourself and the characters that you played in your career?
I've learned from playing SDL, I have a touch of autism. I actually have discovered that in playing each of the characters that I played along the way, I discovered that I think we are, how can I articulate this without sounding like a crazy actor? A filter that I'm always trying to apply, by the way. I've always been interested in this question, like, how is it that we can become monsters? I remember reading about the Hutus and the Tutsis and the genocide that took place, where neighbors were just coming out of their homes and murdering with machetes neighbors that they had lived next to for their whole lives. Like, suddenly people just turned on one another and became just this army of killing machines. And I always wondered how that is. Like, how do we flip the switch and go from being a normal, functioning in society person to being somebody who's able to pull the trigger or swing the sword and kill someone? And when I was playing a serial killer in this terrible movie, but I really worked on the role quite a bit. And I found that I was having his dreams and thinking his thoughts. And when I was cast in the role initially, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna fire me. Like, they're gonna realize I'm the biggest softie in the world, and I don't have a violent tendency in me. And my children would beg to differ. But they did have it coming. Thank you for that. But I found that it was in there somewhere. And I actually think that we have all these layers, all of us have all of these layers in us that we just don't typically access. Like, we have our default operating system, which is our personality that we present to the world. But if you probe your own psyche and your own fantasies and your own weird inner life, you'll discover actually there's so many different possibilities for how you can actually show up in the world. And when you really dive into an acting role, even if you're totally untalented, you end up tapping into some of those alternate personalities. And so I guess one of the things that I learned about myself through acting in general is that I show up in the world with just one or two versions of the Misha that I could be, and actually there's a huge Rolodex of personalities and potential that I think we're all imbued with, but we just by default follow the path of least resistance and walk through life with the personality that we have shown up with front and center most of the time. I don't know, does that make any sense? It didn't feel like it did. Okay, all right, thanks. Hi.
Hi. After touring Vancouver, I was wondering your favorite supernatural shooting location, and also how much trouble did you and Jared get for playing in the sulfur? Because it looked really fun.
Oh, I wish you hadn't brought that up. We shot all over the place with Supernatural. I mean, the most beautiful location that we shot was like the end of season 12 or something like that, where we were at this house on the end of a point with the sea all around. I think it made it look like a lake, but it was actually an ocean inlet. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about. Whatever season. But that was so beautiful. That was a good like hour and 20 minutes out of town. It was like 2.5 hours from my house. So I ended up renting an Airbnb nearby, and it was a big enough Airbnb, according to the listing, for Jared and Jensen and Cliff to all stay there as well. And I was like, hey guys, you want to just crash up here so we don't bring you just like a long drive back into town? And I was like, the place is big enough. It turns out it was a 2-bedroom. I was like, I finally got them where I was. Jared slept on the floor next to my bed. There was only one bed. It was a twin-size bed. So we had this stacked vertically. So the phone rings at this Airbnb, and Jared answers, and it's an attorney. And it's my name on this Airbnb rental. They assume it's me. He picks up the phone, and it's an attorney closing some big deal, or trying to pull out of a deal. And Jared is like, no, listen, we went over this. Let's just close it. Let's just be done with it and sign the deal. He has no idea what we're talking about. For all we know, he just bought an office building on behalf of the owner of this house. And I try to take the phone from Jared. Cliff, motherfucker, blocks me. So I run downstairs to the office that's downstairs in this Airbnb, where I know there's another phone, or no, I don't know. I'm hoping there's another phone, but I pick it up and it's connected to a different line. They're not there, and I turn around and now the door has been shut. And someone's foot is on the door, and I am locked in this office, helpless, while Jared is closing some deal. It unfortunately had pay-per-view pornography as well, which Jared selected all of the gay male pay-per-view movies he could and rented them. I don't feel bad about him sleeping on the floor. So you asked about the sulfur, and this is a memory that I'm actually trying to forget. So for those of you who don't know, I was on the show called Supernatural. And one of the recurring themes in Supernatural is that when a demon shows up, you can smell sulfur, presumably because the odors of hell follow them around. And in Vancouver, there is this huge open-air pile of sulfur. It's like a major export point for sulfur. And there's this gigantic yellow pile that you can see from pretty much anywhere downtown Vancouver, across the water in North Vancouver. There's this huge industrial site with this giant open-air pile of sulfur. And we ended up filming in that industrial park. And I was like, to one of the, they have what's called site supervisors. So people who, like, for example, work at the plant, who have been assigned while there's a film crew there to monitor us and watch us and make sure everything goes well. And I say, would it be possible for us to go check out that sulfur pile? Because it's something that we've always seen, and also it would be like pretty good fan service to take a photo with the sulfur, which I didn't say, but what I was thinking. And so anyway, Jared and I go and check out the sulfur pile, and Facebook at that time had just come out with this live stream function, which was all the rage. Everybody's nervous about it, like, what is this live streaming business? Isn't that gonna like cause all kinds of problems? And I'm like, I'm gonna use this live stream function of me and Jared playing in the sulfur. So we get, we're like, we get in there, we do a little playing around in the sulfur, and I ask a question of the guy who's like the site supervisor, and he's like, no. He gets fired. Yeah. Fucking asshole. Can you believe that? And I tried everything I could to try to undo that, but you are not allowed on the sulfur pile, it turns out. Oops. So yeah, you can really get in trouble, or even worse, get other people in trouble with live streaming. So be very careful with it, and that's the moral of the story. Try to turn it into a moral, me being an asshole. But yeah, thanks for making that horrible memory. Hi. I mean, you don't want to work at a sulfur pile anyway, right? I'm sure he's on to better things. Did him a favor. Hi.
So you already talked in your panel a little bit about AI and how it's kind of a double-edged sword. That was a big deal, obviously, with the strike and everything. Kind of the